This is Larry Froelich, and here's the big picture of the upper limb anterior compartment. We start with a simple outline of the upper limb, noting that it's the C4 through T1 spinal nerves that contribute to the brachial plexus, or the nerves that are going to go out to all the muscles of the upper limb. Remember that these nerves go through the brachial plexus, where we get that classic M, the medial and lateral cords, we'll label those in a little bit, forming the three main nerves that are going to go out to the upper limb. The nerve that goes out proximally, coming off laterally, if you think back into anatomical position, this would be the lateral side of the upper limb, goes just to the biceps muscle. Okay? That's the musculocutaneous nerve, or what we sometimes abbreviate as the MC nerve. Then what comes off down the middle? Anything that goes straight down the middle is going to be the median nerve, going out to what we call the forearm muscles, the wrist and digital flexors. This is one of those you'll thank me later, but we're just going to call this one single group of muscles, going out with their tendons all the way out to all the digits of the upper limb, allowing for flexion of the digits at every joint and also flexion at the wrist. And then we've got the most medial nerve, the ulnar nerve, going out to what we call the intrinsics of the hand. Okay, these are muscles in the palm of the hand. They're sometimes called the interosseous muscles, and those are the muscles that help to spread the digits. Now, that nerve, the ulnar nerve, also can be recognized for coming around. We've got a dashed outline of the humerus in here, coming around the medial epicondyle of the humerus, where if you press against or hit that nerve against a table where the bone is kind of exposed at the end of your elbow, you can feel it there. It's nothing funny about it. What we call it the funny bone, because the nerve gets pressed against the bone and it can be quite painful. So the one thing that we still need to add here is going to be the muscles that move the thumb, what we call the thumb intrinsics. Again, one of those you'll thank me later, because there's a whole bunch of muscles in this group, but for now we'll just know them as the thumb intrinsics, meaning intrinsic to the thumb. And it's actually a branch coming off of the median nerve called the recurrent branch that comes down into the palm of the hand and recurs around. It curves around, we didn't quite draw it that way, and goes to the thumb intrinsics. That recurrent branch of the median nerve, we sometimes know it as the $1 million nerve, because it's very superficial where it recurs around into the palm of the hand, and it can sometimes be cut or damaged, and I guess it's worth $1 million to the surgeon who can repair that nerve, because you would lose all control of your thumb if that nerve is damaged. Or if a plastic surgeon, for example, happens to cut that nerve, it's probably $1 million lawsuit. So that's the anterior compartment of the upper limb. The way for me, the key to remembering everything about the layout of the upper limb is I just think about the funny bone. Why? Well, I can't very easily forget the funny bone being right there at that medial epicondyle of your humerus. In fact, you can feel it with your hand, and you can even twing it against the bone, and you'll feel the nerve go all the way down into the sensation of the nerve going all the way down into your hand. Don't do it too hard or it hurts. And that reminds me, okay, the ulnar nerve, wrapping around the medial epicondyle, obviously on the ulnar side that lines up with my digits, goes all the way down. So it's the most distal nerve. From there then, I know that, oh, next comes the median nerve going right down the middle, going to the middle distance in terms of how distally it goes down the limb. What are the forearm and wrist flexors? And from there then I also know I have the other most lateral nerve, being the musculocutaneous nerve, going to the biceps muscle. And that way I can exactly remember that on the medial side of the brachial plexus, it's the medial cord. Remember, I have to swing this whole arm down into anatomical position to remember that it's that's the medial side, and that's the medial cord lining up the ulnar nerve, going distally all the way down. Then I have the median nerve getting contributions from both the medial cord and the lateral cord of the brachial plexus, going to the mid-range, and finally, of course, the sorry about that. And finally, on the lateral side, it's the musculocutaneous nerve just going to the biceps. So that's the totality of the upper limb anterior compartment. That's the big picture.